Hi, it's Margaret Songbird, the Michelle Birdsong in New York City. Reporting on Sheila Manion-Artz's St. Francis of Assisi, who was Robin Birdsong, the writing group St. Francis of Assisi Residence 3 writing group. Today, Sheila and I started off on the wrong foot because she said, what happens in here stays in here. And I said, oh no. I report on the writing group on Maria Kotz. That's Maria Kott. She used to run the writing group. And I told everyone that I report. That's Maria Kott. That's her sister Titania. They're Russian Americans. I used to tell them that I report on YouTube about the St. Francis of Assisi Residence 3 writing group. And she would say, oh no, we have to have privacy. I said, there's no such thing as a secret. She said, no, I'm not talking about secrets, I'm talking about privacy. I said, that's semantics, it's the same thing, different word. And so later on, after we had some discussion in the group, she said, you know what, I'm going to read what I wrote. It's okay. You can put it on YouTube. So there. So that was. She's open-minded. She's amazing. She told us all about her childhood, where she made pretend houses, and then she made up stories about the people in the houses, and she collected shells, and she I can't remember all the things she did. Beads, and she made handkerchiefs and other gifts for her single mother and her grandparents and aunts and uncle. And she had an amazingly creative life, and she had a lot of freedom to create. So she's a natural to be an art teacher. And she's studied art at Art Students League and other places in Manhattan. So no wonder she's such a gifted art teacher. Look how creatively oh no, I should have taken a picture of her today. She had on a pretty blue with bangles blouse and matching earrings, same color earrings. She had turquoise ring, which I admired. She said that was her mother's, and after her mother passed away, she started wearing it. And then her mother gave her own turquoise ring, and then she had it made into a ring which they had bought in Santa Fe, New Mexico, when she graduated college. So, I mean, it was this was the most interesting writing group ever, because we got to talk about our personal selves. Like Bill Leader was there, and Bill was St. Philip in a past life, and usually he's very quiet. He just says things like, we need more love. He says something positive. He was St. Philip's Jesus Christ disciple in a past life. And he actually, let's see, we were talking about breakfast. Oh, I know. When I read my piece, which I'm going to read it in a minute, Michael Rakor said, oh, it reminds me of Truman Capote. He wrote about his life in a small town. And I said, and he said, somebody, I think it was Bill Leader, said, oh, breakfast at Tiffany's. And I said, oh, Moon River, that beautiful song. And then Bill started singing, Moon River, wider than the I'm running inside Moon River. And I said, oh, my son sing Birdsong. I went to see his rock group in Williamsburg, and they put down the instruments and picked up the acoustic guitar and play and sang Moon River. And the place stopped dead still to pay attention. And then tears came to my eyes as I sat in the group remembering that, because I haven't heard him sing in a really long time. So you see, it was a very intimate group and a very personal group. So I'm going to read what we had, these prompts, and we had to pick one to write about. Let's see. Tell the story of a scar, whether a physical scar or emotional one. Bill talked about when he was ice skating and he fell as a child, and he thought some water was on his chin, and he wiped his chin and it was full of blood, and he was so shocked he never went ice skating again. And who else had a scar? Raul from Puerto Rico came to America when he was young, fell off a bicycle and broke his wrist. And he was a little kid. But he got back on his bike and rode it again. And Sheila talked about, this is her family, this is her son and her ex-husband. And she talked about having hurt her chin in the Natural History Museum. She was in the bathroom, and she's a little kid, she saw a mirror. So she hoisted herself up to look at herself in the mirror and came down and banged her chin very hard on the sink and bled all over the place, and they had to take her to the emergency room to get scars. And she said she hurt her chin 3 times in the same place, near the same place. So that was scars. What was your most precious childhood possession? You could write about what were your favorite childhood shows and characters. And Andre, which I don't have his picture, he doesn't let me take his picture. He was a coal miner in a past life. And he was punished almost every Saturday, so he couldn't leave his room. So he had to wash down the walls, and he vacuumed. But then he would create his own cartoon stories, make up his own shoes. He would make shoes out of shoe boxes and rubber bands. So I said to him, didn't that cut off circulation in your legs? And he said, well, then it was time to stop. But I told him, I said, really, your parents did you a solid, because he said he didn't watch TV now. I said, you see, these people are addicted to watching TV, and it's just an indoctrination machine, and propaganda machine. So they did you a solid when they prevented you from getting a habit of watching TV. And then, what things did you create when you were a child? I told you about the things that Sheila, some of the things I can remember that Sheila said she created, but it was tons more than I remember. And Michael created, he used to build dams, D-A-M-S, dams, obsessively. One was 2 feet high. And so I said, what do dams do? I said, why did you do that? He said, I don't know. He said, I like water. And I said, oh, dams stop water. And so him and Sheila corrected me. And Sheila explained that the beavers use dam to collect water so more fish will come into it, and they can have more to eat. So I said, oh, dams control water. And Michael said, yes, it's engineering. So you see, that's where he came from. He was a beaver in a past life. And Sheila was a seal in a past life. And I, Michelle Birdsong, was a tiger in a past life. Bill Leader was an eagle in a past life. And let's see, Bill is a Sagittarius born December 7th. Raul is a Cancer born July 7th. His opposite, Michael Raker, is a Capricorn. Sheila's a Sagittarius. And I'm an Aries with a Pisces moon and Aquarius rising. Orlando, who wasn't at the art exhibit yesterday, or Saturday it was, is a Gemini, and he was my son in a past life. Sheila was my daughter in a past life. And Bill Leader was St. Francis, St. Philip. Jesus Christ, Gurinder Singh Dillon is Jesus Christ. He was Jesus Christ's disciple, my guardian angel. Okay, so what else could you write about? What places do you remember fondly from childhood? That's what I wrote about. Do you wish you could return to moments from your past? Michael Raper said yes, but I said what moments, and he says too complicated to talk about. What objects tell the story of your life? Nobody wrote about that. What's the best gift you've ever given or received? That didn't happen. Okay, so here's my story. I remember as a child, I decided one day I would grow up and write about the place where I had grown up, Clarksville, Tennessee. Sheila said, I've been there. I lived in Tennessee for 5 years. What are the chances, right? My other mother, to continue my story, Aunt Donnie, Sister Wright, the members of our little church, the Church of God on Poston Street, called her Sister Wright. She was a missionary, very tall, defined by her love for her husband, Brother Wright. He was quite short. I once wrote a song about him. 5 feet 5 with chocolate skin, a giant among the less loving men. He gave whatever he could to whomever he saw needed help. He gave to us all, lastly himself. Yeah, so Brother Wright, so dignified, so nice. Brother Wright. Yeah, Brother Wright, my uncle by marriage, my other father by his actions, had enormous hands. He used to hold the bar on the lawnmower and push and pull it and make our backyard look like a manicured lawn. Those big hands used to push his wheelbarrow, loaded down with new bricks, from the backyard lumber room all the way to the front yard, where he neatly, using concrete, cemented each brick in place, layered crisscross style, until they formed a tall pillar, which he made 2 of. And he painted each red with white stripes along the seams, with a concrete shelf on top where he sat a large concrete planter with pretty flowers. He was a craftsman. Also, our backyard he made full of flowers, including a tall yellow rose bush and a bush of red roses. He was a gardener. He built me a playhouse with a window next to his tool shed, coal bin, lumber room. He was a carpenter. But I preferred to spend time laying on the green soft grass that felt like a cool carpet, with yellow dandelion flowers and those small plants that Sheila told me that's when the dandelion dies. They turn into small plants that if you blow on it, its small, delicate parts would blow apart, would scatter in the air, into the air. At dusk in the backyard, we, my evil sister and I, would grab the lightning bugs from the air and place them in jars with air holes we had hammered into the top with large nails and Brother Wright's hammer. We wanted the light, nature's natural light, all to ourselves. Were they meant to delight every eye that caught them in their sight? Should we feel guilt? Speaking of guilt, I remember church. It was one room across the alley behind our house. We were there 2 to 3 times a week. I learned guilt, awe, and amazement in that church. Okay, so that's what I wrote. And so we talked a lot about, like I said, Michael Rakor said it reminded him of Truman Capote's writings. And Sheila's writings were very close to my heart because she said she used to love the pottery at the Greenwich House. She lived in the West Village, worked in the West Village. She lived on the east side, but she got a variance to go to school in the West Village, PS 41. That's the same thing I did. I got a variance so my kids could go to school at PS 41 because their district was PS 42. And I went to PS 42 one day, and there was a drunk man sitting at a table in the lobby with a little baby, and I said, oh no, I can't have my kids go to school here. So I was lucky enough to get a variance so they could go to PS 41. And I said, she went ice skating. I took my kids to the Museum of Natural History too, and other museums, the Guggenheim. And so I said, you were my daughter in a past life. and you had an upbringing similar to my children, my other children. And, you know, that, because everything she said, you know, living in Clarksville, going past 41, going to Greenwich House. My kids went to Greenwich House Daycare Center. She went to Greenwich House Daycare Center and summer camp. My kids went to Greenwich House summer camp. So you see, it's the same thing. So that's what I told her. I said, this place, St. Francis of Assisi, is amazing. It has a lot of Jesus Christ disciples here. St. James the Greater, Father Tom, the founder was. I said to him one day, were you Jesus Christ? And he said, no, not that big. And then it came to me, he had been Jesus Christ's disciple. So let's see, I don't want to end the video without having told you everything. This is Raul. He's at the art show that we had at the Broadway Housing Communities building on 135th Street and near Broadway, Saturday, August 3rd, 2019. Michael Raker's showing off, presenting actually, his work. Let's see, I got a little closer because I realized they couldn't see that. It's a scratch off. And here, he's showing his mask. Sheila had to make masks. Isn't that brilliant? She asked me, did I want a mask? And I said, I don't wear a mask. What you see is what it is. I am what you see. And Sheila told me some really good news. She said we'll be getting 4 computers, so we'll have a computer group. And I used to wonder, why don't we have a computer group in 2000? You know, 21st century, computers are the main thing. So now we're going to have a computer group. That's my artwork. It's called Weddings. And I told them, I said, what I said? I said, I'm sending a message to the universe that I'm ready. Send me a groom. So Dr. Kopke, let's see, where's her? I'll show you Dr. Kopke. Victoria Kopke. She said, can we be bridesmaids? And I realized she was taking me seriously, and I said, of course. Okay, so here's Dr. Kopke. And that's her friend. This is at the art. You can see it's the art exhibit. That's her friend Christine Harper. She was a sweetheart. And that's Sheila. That's the piano. And let's see. That's Dr. Kopke, me, and Sheila. She was my favorite aunt in a past life. And when I was telling her I was pregnant, and she said, how old are you? And I said, 74. And so she said, oh, you don't look it. And you know, she was implying that I couldn't be pregnant. I said, Sarah, who I was in a past life, was pregnant at 90 years old. God gave her a baby too. And so she said, well, I don't know about those things. And I said, that's right, you don't know about those things. And she let it ride. Open-minded. I love open-minded people. Let's see, something came to me. I wanted to say, I don't remember, there was something else I wanted to say. But, I'll let it go for now. This is, De Michelle Birdsong at St. Francis of Assisi Residence 3 in New York City. I'm going to do a whole video on the art exhibit, so look forward to it. It's amazing. The talented, that's what, the talented people who are in this residence, who have been mistreated and driven mad and have to take medication. But the groups help them to express themselves. And did I tell you Bill Leader sang? I didn't even know, 3 years I've known him, I didn't even know he could sing. His wonderful voice. So I'm amazed at discovering the talents of the people here. Okay, so, and sharing them with you. Okay, that's all for now. So long.